Hello everybody. In this screencast I'm going to show you a few things about the labs that you have to complete in Cengage. I'm sure many of you already noticed there are two different kinds of labs. There's a lab simulation and there's just the regular lab. The lab simulations are pretty straightforward. Everything that you do is pretty guided. The labs, however, a little bit more complicated, so that's why I'm going to show them to you. If you already went in and figured them out, that's great. This is just to show you some tips on how to make it more manageable, and then just kind of also what you're looking for and what to expect. So I'm going to open lab 2.1. This is the first actual lab that you have due in the course. This is the one where I extended the due date so that I can put out this screencast for you first. Okay, so as it loads, we will start the assignment. And you can start these as many times as you'd like. You can close out in the middle and then come back and resume wherever you left off. I'm actually going to start from the beginning. Okay, so my first recommendation is to make the window full screen. This is going to be really difficult to complete on a smaller screen. Even a 15-inch laptop is a little on the smaller side as far as being able to see everything that you need to see on the screen. If you can get to some kind of a desktop, or if you have a laptop with a 20-inch or larger screen, then you might find that it's a little easier to do. Now, what you see here on the left, this is where the instructions are going to be for the lab. On the right side, there's nothing here yet, but this is where the virtual machines will be displayed. So over here on the left, it'll tell you what you're going to do. It'll tell you what the objectives are. It'll show you a diagram of how these machines are connected to each other. So the PLAB DC, this is a server, a domain controller. PLAB DM, this is another server. And then these other computers are just different operating systems, so that we can see how different operating systems act with the tasks that we're going to do. Let's see. Underneath that, it will typically tell you which computers you need to complete this specific lab. So you see we need PLAB DC01, and up here mine came on automatically, yours might not, but we can see here that it's on, and it has all the typical buttons for a computer. We can power it off, we can reboot it. And then we need PLAB Win10. So I'm going to go ahead and get that powered on, since it says that we need those two. Now I will warn you, sometimes this list is a little strange. Sometimes there'll be more computers listed there than what is here in this list. Sometimes there will be less than what's over here. Sometimes they'll have you turn on 2 computers and you might only need 1. So it's just follow the directions of what's there, and then you'll kind of find out exactly how everything fits together. All right, so now that I have those 2 machines on, I am going to click next down here on the left side. And this is where the actual lab starts. Now in the right pane over here, I have mine set up so that I only see one screen at a time. Yours is probably set up so that it scrolls. I'll show you what that looks like. Let's see if it... So yeah, here we go. Here's the 2 different computers. So here's PLAB DC01, and you can see here at the top, this is a server, so this is going to pop up the server manager when you turn it on. And then down here is PLAB Win10. So this is a Windows 10 machine, and it's here. I would suggest clicking this button here. I'm in the middle of the screen right above this on button. Click this, and this will make sure that your computer screen takes up all of the available space, no more, no less. Kind of helps get rid of the side-to-side scroll bar, which can get really annoying. I also prefer going into settings. It's the gear over here on the left. And then I like to go down and change the device view style to fixed. This makes it so that here on the right side, I only see one screen at a time. And that way, if I try to scroll up or down, it doesn't take me from computer to computer. I can just click when I want to go to each individual computer. So that's a little bit more about how to make these manageable on your screen. From here, let me go back to the instructions. I just go through the steps. It tells me which computer I'm going to use for this current step. I need to go to PLAB Win 10. So I'm going to click on that. It tells me to go open up Internet Explorer, which is not the same as Microsoft Edge. So make sure you read the directions and note the details. I'm going to open Internet Explorer. I'm going to go to Tools. I'm going to go to Hacking Tools. And you'll go through the entire lab like this. It's telling you what to do. It's telling you which computer you're working on. You're going to download some things and go through all this. At some point, let's see, I think it's at the end. It will ask you to take a screenshot. A couple of the screenshots do not work. We have contacted Cengage about that. But take the screenshot when you get down to the bottom, and then you move on to the next page. The very last page has questions. It'll ask you a few of those, and do your best to answer those. I do go back in and give you credit for those, even if you got them wrong, just because they don't always align with what's in the textbook. I know this whole lab situation seems a little strange because I'm giving you a lot of disclaimers, but we're working with Cengage to try to get these a bit more streamlined and a bit more aligned with the textbook. So I appreciate your patience with that as we get this sorted out. So that's the basics of how to get started on a lab. When you're finished, there is, let me just go to the last page. You see the summary. Here's some questions on the left side. And then you want to make sure you hit done when you're finished. And this will make sure that the grade is captured, and then it will export it to Blackboard so that it shows up in the Blackboard gradebook. There will be situations where they will want you to log into one of these computers with a different set of credentials. So if you notice, when I first turned these on, they automatically logged in using an administrator account. But there will be times where they want you to log out of the administrator account and log in as somebody else. So what you need to do is you need to turn off auto login. Now, auto login can be found here where the gear is. Wave my pointer there. And then it's the very first option here. So I'm going to turn off auto login. Now, unfortunately, if you ever have to do this, you do have to reboot the computer. And then once it reboots, it'll just sit at the Windows login screen and ask you for the credentials that you want to enter in. Make sure you put this back, because these settings will be reserved for your future labs. So if you go into your future labs after you've turned auto login off, it'll sit there and wait for credentials. So you need to go back in and turn auto login back on, and then reboot the machine so that it logs in automatically. I think that's it. The only other thing I can think of is that sometimes these computer screens here on the right, if you leave them unattended for a little bit, they might blank out. If you look in the top right hand corner, there are 4 icons. The one that looks like a lightning bolt with a circle around it. If you click that, that'll refresh the screen. So if you ever lose connection, just click on that and it should pull it back up for you. All right, so be sure to let me know if you encounter any issues, and be specific. If you send me an email or a message, make sure you tell me what step you're on, what page you're on, what you're trying to do. That way I can help you as best as I can without having to play too much email tag. But let me know, and good luck with those. And I'll put out another tutorial later if I find that students are still struggling with this. Thanks.